Hello everybody and welcome back to the next phase of my chocolate making series. So previously I added just an essential oil into my raw chocolate, but what I'm going to be doing in this second phase of my series is combining two flavours. So this little video is going to be about using doTERRA, a lemon essential oil, and adding into that chocolate crystallized stem ginger. So I'm going to go and get myself prepared and I will speak to you shortly. So welcome back everybody to the next phase of my chocolate making series. Previously I have made just plain chocolate, a slab, and then added into that peppermint and previously wild orange. So this time I'm going to combine flavours by making up a lemon flavoured chocolate and then adding into it stem ginger. So I've got my ingredients all here. So I've got my cocoa powder, my cocoa butter, I've got my maple syrup, I've got my salt to bring out the flavour, and most importantly I have got my doTERRA lemon essential oil, and also I have got my stemmed ginger, okay, to really add a different flavour. So what I'll do is I will get my cocoa butter melting. So I've got 100 grams of cocoa butter there, and I know that with the 7 Hills, because I use the 7 Hills, it is vegan, as you can see. And I'm just going to turn down the gas a second because it is going a bit wild, boiling a little bit too vigorously for me. And you know, I know that 100 grams is about 44 wafers, as they call them, just so that, you know, if you haven't got scales, or you know your scales break or the battery goes, then that gives you a little bit of an indication. So it's always good to just find out how many of those buttons or those wafers that you need. Okay, so I've got my cocoa butter here melting away quite nicely. Now what I've done is I have prepared my stem ginger. I don't really quite know how much I need, so I've just chopped up you know, a couple of stems, and I'm going to add them into these trays here. Now my water is really going mad. I've got a little bit more water in there than I usually do, I think, and that's why it's going a little bit crazy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is while that is melting away, is just add some stem ginger into my silicone molds. All right, and ginger isn't to everybody's taste, but then, you know, this is about making something special, isn't it? And trying different things with people, and also with yourself as well. And if it hasn't really worked, then you haven't really lost a great deal. So it's always worth having a little experiment and just trying different things. And also now there's so many different flavors, you know, in the shops, that you can experiment with, you know, trying some of the things that are in the shops and then creating your own version of it. And that's what is great about doing things like this, is you can make it really personal for yourself. Now I know that these little molds do use up a little bit more chocolate than some of the other moulds do. So I've just got to be a little bit mindful of that. Oh dear. That's really frustrating, that is. Oh dear. This isn't going according to plan. But sometimes life is like that, isn't it? You know, you have a little bit of a mess, but most times when these little messes or mix-ups happen, it doesn't mean to say that you can't sort it out, and not to get too worked up about it, but just to take it in your stride and make the most of what you can. All right, so yeah, that's taken a little bit longer than usual, but hey ho, we got there in the end, didn't we? Okay, and so everything has turned out absolutely fine. Okay, so I'm just going to put that back out of the way for the moment. Okay, now this is boiling away really vigorously, and the cocoa butter is melting really nicely. Now here I've got prepared my cocoa powder. So this is 6 rounded spoons of sieved powder, okay, tablespoons, okay, and even though I have sieved into here 6 tablespoons, you know, it is going to appear more, so I won't actually be using all of this, but it's just there for when I need it. Okay, now what I do want to just point out as well is that the reason I use lemon, or rather the reason I use doTERRA essential oil, I'm just going to turn this off now because that will finish melting on its own, is because that I know that doTERRA, and especially lemon and the other ones that I am using in my chocolate, are safe to use internally. Now if you use different essential oils, you must check that it is safe to use them internally, because not all of them are. Okay, but I know doTERRA are. I use lemon in my drinks quite often. As you can see, I'm using it in my chocolate, and you can put it into cakes, on biscuits, all sorts of different things. Okay, so do check before you use it that you can use it internally. Now I'm just going to get my cloth, okay, and you can see now how beautiful and molten that cocoa butter is, and I'm going to add in 6 rounded tablespoons and just stir it in gently. Okay, and because it is so hot, it actually melts in really quickly and combines really nicely. So that's 2, 3, 4. And give it a really nice mix in. You can use a hand whisk if you would like to, if you prefer to do that. I tend not to, because I just find the more utensils I use, the less chocolate there is to eat at the end of the day, and this is what this process is all about, is having some beautiful chocolate to eat. Okay, and again keep stirring it in. And you can see it's melting in quite nicely. Make sure you get in the edges of your jug or your bowl, so you don't miss any out. Okay, there we go. And also what I'm going to do is you know, as I've already knocked my mould with all my little bits of stem ginger in, I'm going to move my water out of the way as well, because I don't want to knock that over, because that will be really annoying. Okay, so now I'm going to add my salt. Okay, so I'm going to add 3 squidges of salt, and that just helps to bring the flavour out, just like in any cooking. All right, give it a good stir in. Oh, that's looking lovely. And now my maple syrup. Okay, so like I've said before, the sweetness of your chocolate is very much depends on your own personal choice, and you know, the personal choice of the people who you are serving these with. Now, as a dark chocolate, my husband, for example, likes quite a strong flavour, not too sweet, but also because we're adding in the stem ginger, which has been stored in a syrup, that is going to add a sweetness to it as well. So, you know, if you add too much maple syrup, the danger is that it's just going to get too sweet. Okay, so I've added in my 2 tablespoons, make sure I get all of my syrup, and then give it another good stir in. Okay, and adding these, you know, you might not be able to see this here, but adding in the syrup does start to thicken that you know, this liquid chocolate up quite a lot. Okay, now for adding my lemon. Okay, my doTERRA lemon. Okay, so I think I'm going to be adding about 8 drops in, but I'm just going to try it with 6 drops to start with. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I find that the citrus oils are really very thin. Oh, I can really smell that lemon coming through now. And so, you know, you just have to be a little bit careful with those drops. And I'm just going to use the back of the spoon, because of course I've got ginger on the other end. Oh, that's tasting nice, but I'm going to add 2 more drops. All right, 1, 2, because you know the ginger is going to be quite strong in itself. Now I'm only going to use about half of this mixture, because I want to save some for a slab to use for something else later on. Okay, so that should be stirred in really quite nicely now. And then I'm going to put about half of the mixture in my little jug. Okay. And start adding it into my mould. And the thing with putting your stem ginger in first, it will make a little bit of a texture. I had thought about putting my ginger in afterwards, but then you're not going to know whether you've got the right level of chocolate in. So there are different ways of doing it. I might try that one day and just see what happens, because then you might be able to gauge a bit better how much stem ginger you need to prepare. And you might be able to see that this chocolate has firmed up quite quickly. Okay, and we're going to have to leave that there for the moment, and I can take those little bits of ginger out afterwards, and they will just be a nice little treat for me once I've finished all of this. Okay, so I'm just going to put that to one side for a moment, and for the rest of my lemon chocolate I am going to put this into a tray over some parchment paper so that it's easy to take out, so that I've got a slab of chocolate for doing something else with. So I'm just going to use my spatula and scrape out the excess, because you don't want to waste any. And here's the rest. Make sure I get it all out. Don't want to waste any. And then just move it around to make a nice thin slab. Because what I'm going to be doing with this thin slab at a later date is melting it down, using it as a liquid chocolate, and have a different sort of a treat with being able to dip things like breadsticks, marshmallows, fruit, even vegetables you could dip in, but I haven't really worked out which vegetables yet, nuts, all of those different sorts of things, to add a different flavour to your little dinner party. So here I've got my lemon chocolate and ginger and my slab of chocolate, and I'm going to put these in the fridge now for at least an hour, because these are, you know, quite thick, plus you've got the ginger there as well, and that may have an effect on how quickly these cool and these set. So I'm going to leave you here for the moment, and I will be back later to show you how these chocolates have cooled down, and we will arrange them nicely on a plate ready for friends to enjoy. So welcome back, and here you can see I now have my lemon and ginger chocolate treats and my slab that are nicely firmed up and cooled in the fridge. So as I've done before, I'm going to break my slab up and put it into the bag to use at a later date. So I'll just put that to one side, and then we're going to now take the lemon and ginger treats out of their mould. And you see, these have got, I don't know whether you can see, but these have got a bit of a texture on them, which is quite nice in a way, because it's got a different texture and a different look to it, because where the stem ginger is, it's quite shiny. Now, I've been thinking about this a little bit, and if you wanted to keep the pattern, the thing to do would be to pour a little bit of the liquid chocolate in first, then put your chopped up ginger in, and then top it up with some more chocolate. A little bit more fiddly, but not impossible to do, just a little bit more time consuming. So it really depends on how much time you've got and what effect you are trying to create. But these are looking really, really nice. I'm really, really pleased with these. And then, like with anything else, it's arranging them decoratively so that it is looking a little bit more enticing for your friends. A little bit of an awkward shape really, but I'm using some nasturtium flowers to decorate like I've done before. I mean, these nasturtium flowers, if you haven't tasted them before, are very peppery, and especially this year for some reason I'm finding them more peppery than usual, but just a lovely way of decorating because of the colour. I might actually put them that way instead, facing into the chocolates. But there you have a lovely selection of stem ginger in lemon raw chocolate, and I hope you enjoy and have some fun making your chocolates, and then really enjoy savouring them and eating them with your family or your friends, or you know, in front of the telly with a good film. Perhaps a glass of red wine might be quite nice. It is entirely up to you. So have fun and enjoy. Bye bye now.